Boom, boom. We are live. What's happening, A-listers? What's happening, people? Is anything happening out there in the world today or for the last few days or for the last several weeks? Anything going on out there that I should know about? I'm going to teach you guys a little bit today about a term that I love called strategic ignorance. And I didn't make that term up. A buddy of mine, Dr. Ben Hardy, it's a term that I've borrowed from him, and it just makes so much sense. And if you think of great and high performers, the highest of performers, whether that's an athlete or a leader of some kind, or a CEO or a ballet dancer, the one thing that they all have in common is they practice strategic ignorance, right? They make things really simple in their lives. They're playing very big games. Therefore, they're not distracted by what goes on around them. Got me? Kind of like we are right now. Okay, good. So this is what we're going to talk about today. And usually I'll have you consider a sentence that I'm about to tell you, right? A quote that I'm about to tell you. So just consider this and consider this forever. Write this down. Every time you refuse your strength, it turns into an addiction. Every time you refuse your strength, it turns into an addiction. Write that down. I love that quote. I read it in a book. I can't remember who said it. I think the author was quoting somebody who did say that. And think about your life, right? Whenever you refuse your strength, it turns into an addiction. So true. It's true in my life. It happens to me periodically. I'm usually pretty good about righting the ship and getting back to my strength, right? So your strength, our strengths, right, are our dreams. Like our dream is our strength, right? That is our North Star. That is our declaration. That's where we're headed, to be the best. That's what A-listers are all about. There's no plan B for your A game, right? But all of us, most of us, especially here in the US, are distracted, right? By everything else going on around us, you know, whether that's a pandemic or an election or just chaos in the media. And we're supposedly divided. All kinds of distractions are coming at us, right? So this is the great news, you guys, because the greats, the A-listers, aren't distracted. Now, you might have been distracted for a while, but we're going to get back on your dreams today. We're going to start taking command of our own lives today, or recommand, I should say, because we were in command of our lives before all this nonsense happened, right? And now we're off course a little bit. That's normal. There's no shame in being off course. We're always going to be off course, but our job is to right the ship, which is what we're going to do today. Do you ever think that your life is a movie? It's just a movie. It's a story, your life, that's being played out, right? Usually, you're not in charge of that story, or you don't take charge of that story, right? Like, so think of your life as a movie. Who's writing that movie? Who's the screenwriter of that movie? Say your life is a play, a 3-act Shakespearean play. Who wrote that play? Who's writing that play? Who's the playwright? All right. Often, especially now, with all these distractions, we allow other people to write our stories, which is a story of confusion and mistrust and disbelief and chaos and division, right? That's because we're letting them write our story, and we're just a character in this story, right? But the truly greats stay loyal to their dreams, which means you have to stay loyal to your story, which means you have to take responsibility for your life and your story by being the author of that story. So today we're going to wrestle back that pen, that ink pen, where we're the author of our own story, and that's what we're loyal to, which is our dreams, which is our mission, which is our declaration. Okay? While the rest of the world is distracted, we are not. We are loyal to one thing, our dreams. So let's get back into this. It's going to be hard. We're going to wrestle with this for a minute, right? And just like every time we go live with the A-listers, right? This is what we do. I'll train you for a little bit, right? And then we'll open it up to Q&A, right? And then I'll give you some marching orders after that. I want you, and I've got something for you too, which we'll put in the chat, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, but I'm going to teach a master class because this is the perfect time to do it, because we have to take our lives back. We really do. And if you don't, you're going to be going down some rabbit hole, playing the part in somebody else's story, not yours, right? And you'll be victimized by your own life. Okay. So I'm going to teach a masterclass next Friday, the 13th, right? Friday, the 13th, a week from today, right? And I'll teach that at 11 o'clock, West Coast time. Okay. Because I want people to be really clear and really succinct on their story and the telling of it. So I'm going to have a masterclass, and I'm going to teach you guys exactly how to do that and wrestle back your life. Get your life back under your command, okay? Instead of everybody else's. To do this, you guys, obviously, story's coming up, right? We're going to talk about that. But the first thing I want to talk about is creating your own reality. Creating your own reality. So if you say, what's the state of reality right now? It's 1,000 different things, right? What's your reality? Right? Because so listen to this. Listen. So when I was a kid, I made a declaration to be the best safety in the world, right? So, that's a story, basically. A declaration or a mission or a dream is a story that Bo, at the age of 9, started living into. So I start living into this story. I'm the character in the story, and I wrote it. So I lived it out, and it took many, many years to live that story out, right? So here was the reality. I wanted to be the best safety, in the NFL, but the reality of everyone else, seemingly in my whole life, in my world, their reality was that was going to be really impossible to do because I wasn't big enough, or I wasn't fast enough, or I wasn't the right race, or I didn't go to the right school, didn't go to the right, wasn't born in the right family. So the reality of the world was that was going to be impossible. But my reality was not their reality, was it? You know why? Because I created my own reality. I wrote my own story. This is the power of storytelling, you guys. You declare your own life. You take charge and responsibility of your own life instead of being victimized by it, by allowing someone else to write your story, which is happening right now out there in the public. Okay. So your reality is different than the world's reality, right? And then people go to me like when I wanted to be the best playwright. I wanted to be the best safety. I wanted to be the best speaker. And people go, Bo, you have to live in reality. And I'm like, well, whose reality? Because this is my reality. This is my dream. So I wrote a story that I'm going to fulfill on. I'm going to play the role, the character of the hero. And I'm going to fulfill on these dreams, these desires I have to be world class at a certain thing, whether it's playwriting or safety or speaking or being a husband, whatever it is. But that wasn't the world's reality. So I didn't care what the world's reality was because that was not mine. I created my own. I want you to do the same. You have to create your own reality. Okay. It makes you the leader of your own life. It makes you responsible for your own life, your own happiness. That is the most powerful thing that I can give you today, is to take charge of your own life and quit being victimized by someone else's reality, the news media's, social media's reality. You get depressed, you get up, you get down, you go all over the place based on what they're telling you, but that's not your reality. That's theirs. So you're actually, if you're watching the news or you're on social media constantly, or you're gossiping, you're not taking charge of your life. So critical right now. And we're so, or I should say the outside forces reality, like their dreams are to keep us watching them, right? To keep us watching news, to keep us watching social, to keep us watching their entertainment, right? That's not our dream, right? Why are we fulfilling on their dreams? Why aren't we fulfilling on ours? Why aren't we loyal to ours? Okay. So you have to create your own reality. You have to create a bubble of strategic ignorance around what you let into you, what you consume, whether it's food or whether it's, entertainment or gossip or TV or news or whatever it is. If you allow yourself to consume that, right, then you're going to be that. You're going to be not your reality. You're going to be their reality. You're going to fulfill on their dreams, not yours. And you're going to have regrets and you're going to be victimized by your own life. Got this? Everybody got this? And now we're on the right train. Now we start implementing today strategic ignorance. If you're not loyal to your dream, if you're not focused on your dream, you're focused on someone else's dream. Don't be there, okay? You have to right that ship and you have to right it quickly. Now, there's no shame in falling off the horse of your own dreams, right? There's no shame in that, but you got to get back up on the horse. You just do. But you do that by leading yourself, right? Leaders always want to lead a bunch of people, right? And I always say, no, you can't lead anybody until you lead yourself, right? And the only way to lead yourself is you have to know yourself. You have to spend time alone, whether it's in meditation, whether it's in breath work, whether it's in long walks, whether it's in training alone on a long run, getting to know yourself, right? And building the discipline to lead yourself. And that's the only people that I will follow is if they're leading themselves, right? I'm not looking for leadership that's going out, hey, I want to lead the people. No, you can't lead people because you can't even lead yourself. You have no discipline. You're not committed to your own life. You're not telling a good enough story about your life. You're living someone else's story. Okay. It's really, really obviously noisy out there, right? It is noisy. Like there's so many distractions coming at you and coming at your kids and coming at your grandkids that you got to quiet this thing down. And that's why, you do some breath work. That's why you do some meditation. That's why you do some yoga. That's why you go on hikes. That's why you go to walks on the beach. You spend some time alone, right? And quiet this thing down. And only then, when it's quiet, can you hear the whispers of the gods and goddesses that are whispering in your ear, your dreams and what direction you should go. But if you're constantly in this noisy environment that the rest of the world's in, you'll never hear those whispers. Okay, so you're today, A-listers, we are taking back control of our life. We are taking the pen. If we're the author of our own movie, we are now the screenwriter of our own life, right? So we just took the pen away from the environment, away from our society, and we have it in our hands. What is the story you're going to write and then live out? Is it going to be the best safety? Is it going to be the best mom? Is it going to be the best playwright? Is it going to be the best stage performer? What is it going to be? What are you going to be the best at? Because if you're going to write your own story, that better be a hell of a story, right? No one writes their own story like this. Oh, I just have dreams of mediocrity. And that one day I just sit around and watch other people achieve their dreams. That sounds like nobody's watching that movie, you guys. That's not a movie. That movie would never be made. Movies that are made are heroic. The characters are heroic. Their dreams are big, right? The only reason you're distracted right now, guys, and I can answer it in one question. Almost every problem in the world that anybody brings me right now goes, Bo, I'm having this problem. Bo, I am having this problem. Do you know what I say to them? Oh, here's my solution to your problem. You're not playing a big enough game. The game is too small for you. Therefore, you're allowed to be distracted. If the game's not big enough, you're going to be distracted. You must up your game. You must recommit to your initial dream, whatever that is. And you got to get specific on what that dream is and get back associated with that instead of the news media's chaos dreams. If you do this, you will be a leader. If you take hold of your own life by telling your own story and then living it into existence, you will be a leader. You will also build your business. You will also attract people around you that are influential, are attractive, have money, have influence, because that's what those A players, that's what they're attracted to. They're attracted to somebody with a vision, somebody with a story. And that's what we're going to start next week with that masterclass, right? Next week in our masterclass, and we'll put it in the comments, the link, won't we, babe? We'll put that in the comments.
Yeah.
So that they can come. And I'm gonna show you the importance of your story and the telling of it, because sometimes I just wake up and I go, you know what? I was born at the exact right time in the history of mankind, because at no time in the history of our world has this been more important than now. Because otherwise, look, you guys, if you do what I say, what I'm talking about right now, and I'm not saying this is going to be easy, right? It's not easy for me, but I've been able to do it. Think about the game you're playing. Think about your dreams. Are they big enough? If you're distracted, they're not big enough. I'll give you a great example. So you guys have seen Super Bowls, right? You've seen Super Bowls. You see a great quarterback like a Tom Brady play in several Super Bowls, right? Now you may hate Tom Brady. That's not really the point, right? The point is that Super Bowl to him, so he's won more than anyone else, more Super Bowls. So that game means more to him than anybody else, winning the Super Bowl. So that is a huge game for him. Okay. Now, if the Super Bowl is not a huge game, players can get distracted. You get distracted by a lot of things, right? You can get distracted by cheerleaders, by your family being in the stadium. You can be distracted by 1 billion people watching you on live TV. You can be distracted by the crazy commercials they show every 2 minutes. You can be distracted that Lady Gaga is going to do the halftime show. You can be distracted by the other players, by the other coaches, by the weather, by the wind, rain, or snow. You can be distracted by everything. You tell me how good a player that person's going to be. Do you know why they're no good? Because they're distracted, because the game is not big enough. For Tom Brady, the game is everything to him, which is why he's won the most. He is not distracted by his family being over there. He's not distracted by the cheerleaders over there. He's not distracted by 100,000 people booing him. He's not distracted by snow and sleet and rain hitting him in his face, is he? Because the game is gigantic for him, there are no distractions. This is where I want to put you. What is your Super Bowl? What is the equivalent of the biggest game you could possibly play right now? What is it? Name it. What is it? What's your Super Bowl? Play that game. I promise everything that goes on in the world is just perspective. It's just noise. It's not reality. It's not your reality. Your reality is, I'm going to win the Super Bowl. I will not be distracted by anything. I will be loyal, not to the noise, not to the distractions, but to my dreams. That's what I want for you. You have to put strategic ignorance into your game. You've got to strategically protect yourself from the noise, okay? You have to create and live out of your own reality. You have to stay loyal to your dreams. And you have to maximize your storytelling ability. Your storytelling ability is a story of this big game you're going to play and how you got there. And it ain't going to be easy, but that makes for a great story. Okay? That is the state of the union today. I'll open this up for questions. And I'll answer as many as I can. Dawn will come over and she'll throw them at me. And then after that, I'm going to give you some marching orders. And we'll, I think they probably already have done this in the comments, but I want you to have the link for the masterclass, which is next Friday, the 13th. So I can begin to train you on this story and the game that you're going to begin to play so that you're never distracted again, right? I saw a quote the other day. We live in the most distracted time in human history. Now that might be depressing for you. That's not depressing to me. That kind of is exciting to me because I know my game is big, so I will not be distracted, right? So you've just got to implement a big game and tell the story to fulfill on that game, okay? Instead of being distracted like the rest of the world. Well, where are you and me going to end up as compared to the rest of the world in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? They're going to be distracted. We're not. Okay. So I don't want you to be refusing your strength because it'll turn into an addiction. And you've seen it. You get addicted to all kinds of things, right? Like alcohol, drugs, mediocrity, news media, just sitting in front of it, right? Social media. That stuff they're smart. Those people are smart. Video games, they know how to addict you to that stuff. But you have to say no to your own dreams to be addicted to that stuff, okay? So you know what game we're playing, okay? Cool. Sweetheart,
yep.
Do you have some questions?
Yeah, we have a question from Nomi. I think that's how you say it. How do you stop people close to you talking about all these horrible things?
Oh.
Politics, pandemic that's going around.
So funny, isn't it?
You're always yelling at me about that.
I always yell at Dawn about that. I mean, even the kids will come up to me and they'll go, "Dad, did you hear?" They'll be like looking at whatever, video thing, TikTok or whatever, Instagram or whatever it is, right? Dad, did you hear this? I'm like, no, don't. I won't be distracted by someone else's reality. That is not my reality. My reality is to be the best in the world at something, right? It's to be world class at something. That's not my reality. So I just tell them, and I tell Dawn, I told her, was that this morning or last night? I go, you don't turn the news on. That I can't sleep at night because look, they're good at what they do. They can distract the shit out of you. I'm gullible, right? Like I'm an open guy. I'm open, right? So if you tell me there's a pandemic and everyone's going to die, I actually think that that's true. I go, the news just said that, so that must be true. And then Bo has to intervene in my own reality and go, oh, I actually have to question that reality, right? Because it's funny, ever since like the election became the hot topic, now I don't think there's a pandemic anymore. Is that correct? I mean, don't take my word for it. I'm not a doctor, right? But I haven't heard anything about it. So maybe it just knew that there was an election, the pandemic, because it seems to be really a smart pandemic. And maybe it just went, oh, no, that's over now. I don't know. You guys have to check in your own reality, right? That's kind of been my own reality. You just have to tell people, look, no, this is where I'm going. And you have to take those things out of your life, right? You just do. You got to be strategic about it. It ain't easy because the whole culture seems to be like, oh, yeah, this is happening. That's happening. What's true? What's not true? It's all a game. Somebody wrote that movie, you guys. Somebody wrote that screenplay and they put you as a character in it. If you're watching that shit, you're a character in it going, this is true. That's not true. This is ruining my life. This is just, no, write your own. That's what I'm going to teach you next Friday. I'm going to write your own. Live in your own reality. Okay. Get yourself protected. Okay. What else?
Yeah, Tammy has a question. She says,
hey, Tammy.
What do you do when your day job might be becoming your distraction? How to jump into my business full time? How do you know when it's the right time to do that? Yeah,
I mean, look, Tammy, you're good. Look, the people the A-listers, I constantly, I don't know, how long you've been in the A-listers, but if you've been in here for any length of time, you'll notice that I always go back to Mother Nature, right? So Mother Nature is very instinctual, and so are you and I. She has made us very instinctual. You'll know the right time, right? Here's my advice. Don't cut your legs out from under you if your day job is paying the bills and keeping you afloat, right? You create time for yourself to work on the new business while the old business is, you're still doing it, which is holding you up, right? It's holding you up and allowing you to go to the next place. When I was a football player, I saved all my money because I knew it would take me a number of years to become great on stage and a great playwright. I knew it would take me 10 or 15 years. So I saved my money that I made from football, which was my initial dream. And everyone would go, well, why don't you buy a new house? And why don't you buy 8 cars? And why don't you buy gold chains? And I was like, because I want to use this to train myself and give myself the time to be great at the next thing that I want to do. And I don't want to have to, wait tables. I want to be able to train. So I want you to do the same. And you'll know instinctively because you wouldn't be here, Tammy, if you weren't instinctual. You would never work with me if you weren't like a primitive animal, which you are. And so you'll know the exact right time to stop the distractions of, the daytime job, and then you'll be fulfilling on your dreams full time. Okay, cool.
I want to read something from Tiffany. She says, I've been playing too small. My big game is to find cures for feline coronavirus, feline leukemia virus, and feline AIDS. I have to make this happen no matter what. So
okay.
Just wanted to read that.
Yeah. So, that obviously, look, that's a big game, right? That's a game that if you're distracted, you're never going to fulfill on that sucker. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. If you live in our culture's reality, because what's the culture saying about your dream? What are they saying about it? Oh, that's impossible. No one can do that. Oh, let's talk about this. Let's be distracted by that. Let's gossip. Let's talk down other people. Let's have commentary on the leadership. Shut up. Shut up. I got too big a game to play to be distracted by all that nonsense, right? So it's your job. Now, I don't know. At the end of your life, is it going to bring, are you going to bring it into existence? That's still up for grabs. I don't know. Depends on how distracted you are for the next 50 years, right? Or because that's a big game. And when you're playing a big game like Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, you don't care who's doing the halftime show. You don't care who's booing you. You don't care how much snow is hitting you in the face. It doesn't matter. The commitment, the dream takes precedence over all else, including naysayers, including family members that may be against it, right? The dream takes precedence. It is the only loyalty you have, right? Everyone else has to fall in line with that loyalty or they're not going to be around. Okay, cool.
Okay, so Gina, our Gina has a question.
Gina.
On a TBS. She says, when I feel myself sucked into Twitter and the media, how do I snap myself out of it in that moment so I can get refocused in my own reality?
Oh my gosh. And
she says it's been happening to her all week.
Me too. It's true of everybody. No shame, right? No shame. You know why? Because the people who created these things, these Twitter things and these news medias, and they are smart people. I'm not saying they're dumb. I'm not. They're much probably smarter than me. Probably, right? They know how to addict you. They know how to keep you going back to it and going back to it and going back to it. It's time to up your game, Gina. Like that's the only answer. I know it sounds too simple, but the only, like, people try to stay focused. They use the word focus, right? I don't use focus too much. I just eliminate all else. Think about your marriage, Gina. You know, how successful is your marriage? So everybody who's watching, you know, I know Gina personally. I know her husband. I know her son. I know she has a great marriage, right? Why is that a great marriage? Why is it a solid marriage that people look up to? Why? Because of your loyalty to the marriage. You're loyal to the marriage. You promised, and your husband promised in front of God and all your friends that you were going to stay married till death do you part. You're loyal to that. What if you weren't? If Gina, everyone, as an example, if she's not loyal to Alex, her husband, and Alex is not loyal to her or the marriage, how good do you think that marriage is going to go? How well is that marriage going to go? In the end, what's going to happen? It's not going to be a marriage, is it? Well, it's the same is true for your dreams. So think about your loyalty that you have for your son or your daughters. Think about that. Or your loved ones, your whoever you're married to. The strength of your marriage is the loyalty to the marriage. It's a big game. You're never going outside. When me and Dawn did that, I just remember having such a sense of it's over, right? Like dating is over, right? That's for the rest of your life. Everyone goes, oh, that's a real bummer, man, because now I can't date these attractive people that I see over here. Yeah, but it gives you strength, which I started this live with today. I started the live with, you better not refuse your strength because it will turn into an addiction. And this Twitter is an addiction. I mean, it is. They're good. They know what they're doing, right? But now, whoever created this thing called Twitter or Facebook or whatever these things, whoever created them, now you and me are fulfilling their dreams. Why would we be fulfilling their dreams, right? Why don't we fulfill ours like we're doing in our marriages? Our marriages are fulfilling on themselves because we're committed to them, right? I want you to feel the same. I want you to have that same kind of commitment and loyalty to your own damn desires, your own darn dreams that you were given. Okay? And Gina, you know this better than anyway. That's where your story comes in, right? Which is why we're doing the masterclass next week, next Friday, 13th at 11 Pacific time. Never has this been more important than now, where you take control of the narrative of your own life so you'll never be victimized again by someone else's story, someone else creating your story. Not happening. Anything else, Ben?
Yeah, we have a question here from Holly, and she says, how do you handle it when your big dream is very important and now a second value, education and kids, has suddenly taken an equal priority due to homeschooling? Due to the current state of affairs. I find myself getting frustrated that I don't have enough time to work on my big dream as much as I want to. I get impatient and hard on myself now that my momentum has slowed down on a big dream.
Yeah. So, who asked this? Holly. So Holly, you're not alone. You're among the dreamers right now. And listen, right now, if you can get succinct, right, and true and loyal to the dream. Now, that I include my kids, because I have kids too, right? I have 3 kids at home doing school, homeschooling, due to the situation, right? They're a part of the dream. They're not separate from the dream. And I would implore you to do the same, right? Like, make your family a part of your dream. Tell them your dream, have them help you, have them be on your side and you on their side of their dreams, right? So if you come into my house, which I hope you do one day, you'll see that my house, our home, is about dreams. We take dreams seriously. You'll see dream boards, you'll see commitments, you'll see declarations, you'll see the kids' drawings, you'll see the pictures, you'll see all kinds of stuff. And our job is to make because we have 5 people in our family, and our job is to make each other's dreams come true. Well, I would put that, why can't that just be a rule for your family? I love making family rules, right? I love making family rules. Okay, boys and girls, let's sit down, let's make some family rules. The Easons will never complain. So every time we want to complain, we're going to turn that into training. So instead of complaining, we are now training, right? So I made that rule up several years ago. So, and we put our hands in and we go, while other kids complain, Easons train. That's just a rule. So you make up some family rules about fulfilling on these important dreams. Because don't separate everything. Your life is not compartmentalized. It's all one thing, your life. Especially now. It's all one thing. Everyone, if you tell the right story, Holly, everyone's going to be attracted to that story. And they're going to help you fulfill on your dream. Okay? That's all I've done my whole life. I might be the best in the world at that thing. At going like this. Hey, you guys, I want to be the best playwright and I want to be the best stage performer. I've just never done either of those 2 things. Can anybody help me? And people are like, yeah, that sounds like a great dream. I'll help you. Here's some money. Here's some food. Here's a trainer. Here's a teacher. Here's Al Pacino. Here's a book you should read. Here's a Shakespeare play you should play. Everybody comes to your assistance if you tell them your dreams, which is a story that you're living out. Okay, Holly? And your whole family's going to get on board with this, and you're going to be on board with their dreams and their stories. Cool? What else, babe?
Yeah, just one last thing.
Okay.
Just let everyone know just why it's so important to attend the masterclass on Friday, just especially with everything going on.
Yeah, I mean, because look, you guys, the importance of why we're doing the masterclass a week from today, Friday the 13th, which is ominous day. Didn't they make a movie called The Friday the 13th? So it's a great story for that day. You guys, listen, and this is true of your friends and your family too. So say you have some friends that are kind of floundering around and they're in lockdown or whatever these pandemic goofy things are, and they're wearing masks and they're distracted by the election and they don't know what's true and what's not, and they're just out of their minds, right? Get them on there with you. Bring them with you, because now we're going to be talking about your dream, a game that is so big for you to fulfill on that there will suddenly be no distractions in your life. And then you can build your business based on your storytelling ability. So I'm going to teach you not only how to capture that story, how to physicalize that story, embody that story, attach it to your molecules or your solar plexus so that it's walking around with you all the time. And then how do you make money? How do you build your company? How do you build a business based on your story? That's all I've done my whole life, you guys. That's all I've done my whole life. Now, I did it in several different disciplines, like 4 different disciplines. If I was distracted by elections all my life, do you think I could have fulfilled on any of them? No. None of them would have happened. I would have never played in the NFL. I would have never taken a play to Broadway. I would have never written screenplays for movie stars. I would have never been a speaker. I would not be in front of you now if I was loyal to the culture's dreams. I'm loyal to mine. I want you loyal to yours. The first step in that is the master class, is mastering the expression of you. And as soon as you do that, everyone comes to your rescue to help you build your dreams. The highest, this isn't me saying this is a futurist. The highest paid person in this century will be the storyteller. The highest paid person in this century will be the storyteller. Think about that. Think about who's the highest paid right now. Aren't they just telling a story? Aren't they living out their own dream, their own story, like a movie? And think of everybody who's struggling with money and everybody who's struggling with relationship. What story are they telling? They're not telling their own story. They're living in the reality of somebody else who told this story for them. I'm going to teach you to take charge of your own life. Everybody got me? And that's exactly the marching orders that I want you to take this week. I want you to write down. I want you to take it down. I know it's in the comment section. I'm going to tell it to you again. Go to boeason.com/story masterclass. boeason.com/story masterclass. Next Friday, week from today, the 13th. 11 o'clock Pacific time, right? Should I also tell them about the following week, Dawn?
On Tuesday. So we're offering 2 different times to make it convenient.
There's 2 different times if you can't make next Friday.
Yep. And then you have the registration page on where to go to make sure they.
Oh, they have the registration page in the chat?
Yeah, I think Gina put it in there.
Okay, good. So that's in the chat. You guys have all the information. We are taking back control of your life. Stop the addictions, you guys, by accepting your strength instead of refusing it. Take the pen out of the culture's hands and you start writing your own story. And then you become the hero of your own story. Now that is a life worth living. It's certainly not a life worth living following other people's stories and then believing them and then following like you're a little, bit part player in someone else's story. It's not how our lives are created. It's not what Mother Nature intended. Stay loyal to one thing, our story, our dream, our declaration. We fulfill on that. Okay? All right. Anything else, Ben?
Nope. Just next Friday.
Next Friday, 11 o'clock Pacific time. Friday the 13th, masterclass. Be here. And I will, and also Tuesday, the following Tuesday, the 17th. And that one will be at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, correct? Yeah. Pacific time. Okay, good, guys. I'm glad we got together and I'm glad you made the time, right, away from your addictions to take on your own life. I'll end with this. One of my favorite playwrights in the world is a guy named Arthur Miller. Arthur Miller was once married to Marilyn Monroe. He wrote great plays like Death of a Salesman. He wrote a play called After the Fall. And there's a quote, there's a line of passage in After the Fall that I love, and a buddy of mine has built his whole company, his whole life based on this quote. And it says this: I think it's a mistake to ever look for hope outside of oneself. One day the house smells of fresh bread, the next of smoke and blood. What hope can there be if that is so? I think it's finally time to take one's life into one's hands. I think it's finally time to take one's life into one's hands. I'll leave you with that. Have a great week, guys. We'll see you next Friday.